Hey everyone, it's Saturday. It's Chat with Mac. We're glad to have everyone with us. For those of you that are faithful, if you will, viewers, we appreciate all your input, your insight. We just appreciate your time. And for those of you that are new to what we do, welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Saturday, Nadeem.
Oh, it is. I woke up and it's almost like I was more tired than when I went to bed last night. Didn't want to get up, but I'm here.
Yeah, yes, ditto, ditto. I got up I needed the rest after a crazy week, but yeah, it's beautiful out today, so I think I might
Yeah.
enjoy the weather later on. Hey, let me ask you a question. So, I use my personal machine for work, of course, but I use it for just about everything, and I've been noticing it lagging something serious. I mean, it's going really, really slow. And I'm pretty sure some of our viewers probably have the same thing. They probably done a diagnostic and done all of that. But what's the simplest way to just free up, I guess, memory so that I can get some better performance out of my machine? Because it's been driving me nuts.
Yeah. So, that's a question that comes up fairly often. People are like, well, the machine's been running fine for years and over time it's just getting slow.
Yeah.
What gives? And there's all kinds of theories, that Microsoft slows them down intentionally. Back when, they used to sell new versions of Windows every year, people were like, well, that's not it. Nobody has the time or the energy to intentionally put that in there, except to make the experience better. Like what Apple did was really they were trying to make the experience better by throttling CPU to conserve battery on handheld devices, which theoretically makes sense, right? Of course, they got sued over it, but anyway. So here's why your machines typically get slower over time. As your machine is running, different software manufacturers, developers, they release updates. These updates are designed for the current average machine that a user has, not what a user had 5 years ago, but the current machine. So if you have a machine that's 5 years old, yeah, it's going to be sluggish because that software update that you just installed or that Windows update that you just installed, it's expecting you to have a certain amount of RAM, a certain power of CPU, a certain drive with a certain speed. Just to give you an example, just a few years ago, everybody had a hard drive in their machine, right? And so the software had to accommodate for that, hey, if I have to read from the disk, it's going to be much slower. Well, then SSDs came into the picture and the software developers, they designed their software. Hey, now it's an SSD. It's a much faster. So let's not load it into RAM. Let's just go straight to disk. Now, the users who still have hard drives, platter hard drives, they're going to be painfully slow because the software is just not accommodating for that anymore. So that's why over time, machines get slow. But there are certain things that you can do to make sure that your hardware is as good as it can be, right? So you don't have any excess stuff there that could be slowing things down. And one of the main things that user can do, and it's fairly safe to do, and I can walk you through it so we can show everybody how to do it, is with SSDs, which pretty much, assuming everybody has an SSD now, you don't need to do defrag. Actually, defragging an SSD it does more damage than it does good. So you don't need to defrag anymore. However, and Windows is intelligent enough to know that it has an SSD, so it's not going to do that weekly defrag on it. So you don't have to worry about that. But what you can do is you want to clear out temp files, and you want to clear out DMP files, which are memory dump files. So when a program crashes, it creates a memory dump file. Basically, it dumps out everything that was in memory so you can use it for diagnostics. Well, these files build up over time. Every time a program crashes, they get created. And some of these files are pretty big files, and they just sit there forever until somebody goes to remove them. The reason they sit there forever is because the anticipation is if something does go really bad, then somebody can pick up these dump files and analyze them and figure out what happened, what caused that error. It's good to clean off these files every now and then. This will free up space. It'll make your machine run better, the drive run better. So there are three things that we want to do. We want to clear off the temp files in the root of C. We want to clear off the temp files in the Windows folder, and we want to delete DMP files on the entire drive, any folder. I'm gonna give you some commands where it's easy. It'll just go through it, and you don't have to go through each folder trying to find those files because that'll be painful, right?
I can only imagine how many files I have on my machine right now because I have not heard of any of what Nadeem is talking about right now.
So let's do this. If you want to open up a command prompt and share your screen, actually, you know what? If you want to share your screen, and I'll give you a shortcut how to run command prompt very easily. So to run the command prompt, if you click on the Windows logo bottom left.
Can you see my screen right now?
Yep, I can see it. And then just type in C as in Charlie, M as in Mary, D as in David. And there it is. Just press enter.
Oh, just press enter. Okay.
Yep. And so that's your user profile that we're sitting in right now. So what we want to do is we want to, first of all, let's just start with clearing off the temp files. And I said 2 locations, but there is a third location as well. Since we are sitting in your user profile, let's clear off the temp files within your user profile first. So what we're going to do is type in C as in Charlie, D as in David, space, %, which is the number, shift and the number 5, TEMP, short for temporary.
MP.
And then % again, and press enter. So what we told the machine in that command is to change directory to the user's temp variable. That %temp means it's a variable, and no matter where that location was, when you put in %temp, it will go to that location just like it did here. So now we're sitting in the user's temp folder. Now, just for kicks, we're gonna get a directory listing of this and see what's in there. You don't even know that folder existed, so you didn't save anything here. This is stuff that other programs and Windows save stuff into. So type in D as in Delta, I as in India, R as in Romeo, and that's just short for directory. It's going to give us a directory listing. Go ahead and press enter. And those are all the temp files. So as you can see, there's 131 files. There's 40 directories. And it's, I mean, you can see how much space they're taking, about 65 megs of space that, those files are taking. Now, wow. This is just the directory of the root of the temp. We haven't even looked at the subdirectories. We haven't gone through each subdirectory to see what's in there. That's too time consuming, right? I've said this before, and I'll say it again. IT people, IT admins are usually lazy. If we can program something, we will, so we don't have to do the extra work, right? so we're not going to go do the extra work of going into each folder trying to see what's in there, because I already know all these folders, like these, curly brackets and these folders. These are, folders created by applications. We want to get rid of all this stuff. You didn't create it. It's not required. It's not needed. Let's get rid of it. So now here's the deadly command that you can use to delete. Now you want to make sure you are sitting in the temp folder, because this next command I'm going to give you is going to delete all the files in this folder and any subfolders under it. So if you are sitting in the root of C drive and you ran this command, bad things would happen. So you don't want to do it in the root of C. You want to make sure you're in the proper folder. Like in this case, it's your user profiles temp folder, and type in R as in Romeo. Now, this is a super user command. Typically users using computers, they won't even know about this command, and they shouldn't, because it can be dangerous if you're in the wrong spot. So very carefully, we're going to type in R as in Romeo, D as in Delta, space, period, space, slash, that's a /, S as in Sam, another forward slash, Q, as in quiet. So in this command, we're telling the system remove all directories, and directories also includes files. And by the period, now normally the documentation of this command would say rd space star, which is asterisk dot asterisk space, and then the slash s and slash q, right? The switches. But you can shorten that command, and that goes back to IT admins being lazy. If you type in just rd space period really just translates to star dot star or asterisk dot asterisk. So in this case, we're telling it delete everything. The slash s tells it in all the subfolders, and the slash q tells it quiet. The reason we want it to be quiet is because if we tell it not to be quiet, there's going to be a bunch of stuff that's going to fly by. I mean, every file it deletes is going to tell us deleted, deleted, and that's a lot of files. That's like,
okay.
So that's why I like to do a slash q, which is just delete it quietly, because I know just from my experience that anything that's in the user's temp folder, it's not needed, not required. So let's go ahead and hit enter and see what happens.
All right, it's got me nervous, but.
So now it got rid of all those files, but it's not very quiet, is it?
Not really.
Yeah, so the stuff that you see on the screen is only items that it was not able to delete. And the reason it was not able to delete is because those files are in use by something else. For example, there is an Outlook or LLOO_1 folder, which is not empty because you probably have Outlook running. And Outlook creates temp files, and those temp files are in use by Outlook, so the system can't delete that file. So
if I close Outlook right now, would I be able to do that?
Well, yeah, but it's okay. We don't need to go through that. But now let's do this. Let's do another directory and see what's in there now. Did we really clean up anything? Last time there was like 151 files. Type in dir and press enter. So now there's only 56 files, and these are files that are in use by programs. So we got rid of around 100 some odd files. So a lot better than what it was before. So it's much cleaner now. Now, if you had all these programs closed and the only thing that was running was the command prompt, you'll be able to delete a lot more files, which is fine. I mean, as you run applications, normally when an application creates a temp file, when you exit out of that application, it is supposed to delete that temp file. But programs are not as well written as we hope them to be, and sometimes they'll just leave garbage behind, and that's the result here. Okay, so that was a user's temp folder. The next one that we're going to want to clean out is the temp folder that sits in the root of C. So we're going to type in cd.
C as in Charlie, D as in Delta.
Charlie, D as in Delta. And this time we're going to put in backslash.
Okay.
And we're going to type in temp, short for temporary. So basically, we're telling it to change directory to the root and then temp. And then when you hit enter, it should change the location, and it should tell us that it is sitting at the C:\temp, just like it did. Now, before we run the RD command, we want to be absolutely sure that we are sitting in C:\temp. Because if C:\temp did not exist, the previous command would have given us an error and not switched into that directory. And we sure don't want to run RD if we're sitting on the root of C, because that means deleting everything under the C drive, which we don't want. But in this case, and in most Windows, C:\temp would exist. But had you made a typo, and put in cd\tmp instead of temp, you would have gotten an error, and it would not have changed the directory to C:\temp.
Oh, okay.
So you don't want to go to the next command until you are satisfied that the previous command has completed, right? In this case, it did. So let's do a dir and see what's in the C:\temp folder.
Just dir, correct?
Yep, just dir. We're not going to give it any switches. We're just going to tell it, show us what's in there. So there's nothing in there, which is kind of expected. Usually Windows will not put stuff in the C:\temp. Some programs will, and that's why we want to check it. Windows will put stuff in the user's temp folder, which we already cleared, and the Windows temp folder, which sits in Windows/temp. So it's a folder called temp, which sits under the folder called Windows. So let's go to that folder. So Mac, this is a impromptu test. Can you figure out how to change into Windows temp folder? So go ahead and put in C as in Charlie, D as in David, / Windows / temp. So in this command, we're simply telling it, change the directory to C, Windows, and then temp. Now, once we hit enter, you see we are now sitting in C, Windows, temp. Let's do a dir and see what's in there. We expect to see some stuff in there. But there's nothing in there, so that's good. So you're not in such a bad shape as I would have expected, because I would have expected
really bad shape.
Yeah, I would have expected there to be some stuff under this, Windows temp folder, which across pretty much, I would say more than 90% of the machines that I touch, I usually find a lot of stuff in C, Windows temp. So the applications that you're running are fairly well-written applications. They're not leaving a lot of junk behind. The only place that we're leaving stuff was in your user profile, which is fine. So now that we've cleaned off that, since your machine has a SSD drive, we don't need to do a defrag. Now, had your machine had a hard drive, like a regular mechanical hard drive, then we would have run a defrag after doing this, because the temp files that we deleted from the user profile folder would have left holes in between contiguous areas, and we want to pull all that data back and compact it, kind of like a trash compactor, right? We want to compact it so we can put all the new data at the end of where the files are. So, but that's all we want to do. We really don't need to do anything else. C Windows temp and C temp are clean. User profile temp, we cleaned it out, and that's pretty much it. Now, once you delete those temp files, and then if it was a mechanical hard drive, you ran the defrag, you would want to restart the machine. And in this case, we're not going to do it because it's going to kick us off. But once we're done with this call, just reboot the machine, and everything will be good. Now, one extra thing that I like to run on machines, and this is part of our automation that we do and we run a bunch of different commands, but these are just some of the not so powerful commands. I mean, they're fairly powerful. Like the RD command is very powerful, but it's not as dangerous as some of the other commands that we run to clear off things that can cause problems. But one thing that I do want to run here is flushdns. So since a lot of users are working remotely, a lot of times your providers who do name resolution for you. So when you go to google.com, computers don't understand what google.com is. Computers understand IP addresses. Something translates google.com to an IP address that a computer can understand. That something that does that translation is a DNS server, right? Every time your computer does a DNS query, it caches that information. It remembers it, so it doesn't have to look up the same stuff over and over against the DNS server, because that would really put a lot of load on the DNS servers. We don't want to do that. So you'll see in the background, you're just browsing websites, but in the background, the computer is doing a lot of stuff. It's doing these name lookups, it's caching these name lookups. It's a good idea to clear this DNS cache every so often, once a month, once a week, whatever, depends on how much you use the machine. And the reason we want to do that is if your computer has DNS cached, and let's say a website changes its address, your machine is going to try to hit that old address and it's going to have an issue. So website is going to be inaccessible until that cache expires and it queries the DNS server again, and then you can get to that site. So with this one command, we're going to flush that DNS cache So when you go to Google or any other website, your computer has to get a fresh IP address from the DNS server. So for that, we're going to type in I as in India, P as in Papa, the word config, all one word. It's short for configuration, space, / flush DNS, FLUSH DNS. So basically, we're telling it, we're using the IP configuration command, and we're telling it, hey, machine, flush your DNS. Forget all that you remember. We're going to start fresh. So we're going to clean your DNS and have a fresh cache of DNS, which is a good thing to do, every so often. If you use your machine a lot, once a week might be a good thing to do. And this will take care of issues like sometimes when you open Outlook and you're using Office 365, you might get this little certificate window pop up. These weird things that happen. This should take care of that. So go ahead and now press enter, and this is going to be quick. And boom, successfully flushed the DNS cache. Now, it is very quick because DNS cache is actually kept in memory, right? So it's very easy for it to clear it. It's not kept on hard drive; it's kept in memory. So now we've cleared it. So now we don't have all that stuff remembered in memory. So it'll be clear, and that's all we want to do. Just a few basic commands: clean up your temp files, flush your DNS. Boom, you're good to go. Ship shape. And now to exit out of this command, you can of course hit the X in the top right corner, or you can just type in exit and press enter. So here's an interesting question. Typing in exit and then pressing enter. I was telling a user to do this, now just type in exit and press enter. And the user said, well, can't I just hit the X in the top right corner? And I'll say, yeah, you can just hit the X in the top right corner. However, I told them, and they laughed at this, and I told them that because I can type in exit and press enter faster than I can move the mouse and click on that X. So, and but that's one of those things, because to me, I don't have to think about it. I've done it like all my life, so my fingers just know exit. I think exit, they type. I don't have to think about it, and it's much faster than trying to take that cursor to that X and clicking on it, so I can type in faster. But yeah, so that's it. Just simple commands to keep your machine running well, and these commands, of course, you have to use them, with caution. You don't want to, just blindly type in commands, and if it gives you an error, just go to the next command and start deleting stuff. But you don't want to do that. But you can do this on your home machine. So if you are using your personal machine at home, you can empty out the temp files and things like that. That will keep your machine clear. One thing we forgot, Matt: memory dump files. Oh, you want to clear memory dump file. So this is another test. Let's see if you can get to the command prompt yourself.
Oh my Lord! What was it?
CMD. There you go. Yep. And just press enter. You don't have to click on open. You can just type CMD enter. All right, so we're sitting in your user profile folder now to empty out DMP files across the entire hard drive. We don't care. We're going to start from the root, go through every folder on the drive, and empty them out. And it's going to take a little bit of time. There's like thousands and thousands of files on this drive, but actually thousands and thousands of folders on this drive. Yeah. But I'm going to give you one command that you can run, walk away, get a cup of coffee, and it'll be done by the time you get back. So first, we're going to go to the root of the C drive. So type in C as in Charlie, D as in David, / and enter. And we want to make sure that we are sitting in the root of C, which we are. It says C : / is greater than, so no folders. So it's, we are sitting in the root of C. Now, the command, D as in Delta, E as in Edward, L as in Lima, space, *, which is asterisk, shift 8, I just call it *. So shift 8, and then period, D as in Delta, M as in Mary, P as in Papa, space, / S as in Sam. So now we're telling it delete all files with the extension DMP in this folder and everything underneath it. And since we are sitting in the root of C, that means the entire C drive and all subfolders under it. Great. So let's go ahead and hit enter. Now you've got an SSD, so it's going to go fairly quick. On a regular platter hard drive, this command will take some time.
Okay, let's try it out.
And that's fine. Some of the files are going to say access is denied because the user account you're logged in with doesn't have access. But as you can see, it is clearing out a few DMP files. Terminal. So you have a program called Terminal exe probably that's crashed a few times. You have some crash pad dumps from your Google Chrome. So your Google Chrome has crashed a few times. You have Plantronics. That might be your headset that has.
Yep, that's definitely my headset.
Yeah. So you can see it's just going through and it's clearing off a bunch of these files.
Is it still thinking?
Go ahead, huh?
Is it still thinking?
Yeah, it's still working. Yeah, you see that cursor flashing and the command prompt is not back yet. So it's still working. It's still going through all the folders. Now, you see where it says access denied for C:\Windows\memory.dmp. Now, we could have probably deleted that file had we run the command prompt as an administrator.
Oh, okay.
But here's the thing. If your computer crashes and it has to do another memory dump, it will overwrite that file. So it's not really like it's going to keep building those files. It's just going to overwrite that file. So it's not that critical. So we don't really need to switch the context into administrator. We can just run it as the current user. And that way you can delete the files that your user account has access to, which is still a lot of the files that we see here. So we're going to just let it run until it comes back to the command prompt. And these files usually are fairly large in size because it's really, if a program was, let's say, let's say 50 megs, and that whole 50 megs was loaded up into memory, then when the dump occurs, it's going to put all that 50 meg down to the drive. And, so each one of these files, like terminal crashing multiple times, if, for example, each one of those files is 50 megs, then that adds up. So usually DMP files take a lot of room on your hard drive. And now it's just a matter of sitting and waiting for it, letting it go through the entire thing. Now, if nowadays we don't have a light, an LED for hard drive. In the old days, we used to have that. Whenever the system would access the hard drive, it would light up. And then when we run this command, we could actually see that light just going crazy. And this was one of the ways you could do to make that light flash. But now they don't have those hard drive lights anymore, so don't see anything. And the reason why they don't have lights is they don't, nobody really cares when the computer is accessing the hard drive, because it's not like it takes it a while to access stuff from the hard drive, because nowadays they're really solid state drives, they're SSDs, and they're so fast. In the old days, they were so slow that you had to have that light so you could look at the light and see if the computer was doing something, which in this case would have been helpful because we gave it such a big command to go through the entire drive, and it's taking some time. Had I not known that it's not back at the command prompt, that it is still working, I would think it's stuck, but it's really not stuck. Eventually it's going to go back to the command prompt, just like it did. Yeah. So there we go. It deleted a bunch of those files, and that's what we wanted to do, get rid of those dump files. Now, if you are thinking that somebody is troubleshooting an application crash and they may need some data off your system, then you don't want to run this command, because you don't want to delete those DMP files if somebody will need those files to troubleshoot certain application crashing, which nobody really does. It's very rare that a developer will ask you for their DMP files, because they know users are not going to do it for them. They have to build their own VM and create their own crash and collect those files. It's very rare that a user will send dump files over. We do it on servers, because if it's a server application, then a lot of times we'll have to do it for the application developers and create a bunch of diagnostic files, including their DMP, the dump files, and send them over to the developer. But that's it. So Mac, what are the two ways to close out this window?
I can either press exit, which I'm going to do now, or there it is.
There you go. Yep.
the X key. Nice.
Yeah. So that's it. The little things will make your machine run better, and also save space. Save space on the SSD. So in the old days when everybody had hard drives, everybody used to have large terabyte capacity hard drives. Now with SSDs, with the cost and everything, they're not terabytes anymore. I mean, a lot of the machines still I'm seeing that have 256 gigs of SSD space, so it's not a lot of space. So you want to empty out these DMP files and stuff that are just taking up space. So yeah, hopefully your machine will run better. Just when we're done, just restart it, and
Okay.
it should be good to go. And I mean. It's not going to be my responsibility if the machine doesn't start. No, I'm just kidding. It'll start. No, it'll be fine.
That would be a horrible thing.
So these are the same commands that, like I said, that our automation runs in the background when it, for example, when it detects a drive is running too low on disk space, it will automatically clean off a bunch of these files, including the dump files. And that's how we make space automatically, because, we automate this portion. Now, once we run these processes and run this automation, and if there is still not enough space, then we escalate it to a human to say, hey, Mr. User, you need to delete some files off your C drive because, you just got all kinds of junk in here. But hopefully it'll help some people out. I know people have requested that we do more technical videos. And this is something that anybody can implement. They can do it on your home, their home machines, their office machines. You shouldn't really have to do it on your office machines because your office probably has some automation to do this. If you have an IT provider that manages your machines, but if you don't, then go ahead and run this. Now, even if you do have an IT provider, it's always good to check back once in a while. Yeah, just once in a while, make sure that the IT provider is doing what they say they're doing. Right. Keep us on our toes.
On the toes.
So yeah, that's it. Hope it helps people out. And if anybody out there has some comments, or if you want to see more videos like this, we'll be happy to make some more. I mean, there's all kinds of things that we can kind of give some hints to users to do on a routine basis that will just keep their machines running good. Now, as far as what operating systems this works on, so this works on any Windows. I mean, this will work on all the way back from Windows 3.1 days up to the latest, greatest version of Windows. This command is not the same on a Mac. This is not going to work on a Mac. It's a little different because, that's a different operating system. So there are different commands over there. But, hopefully it helps people out. So, Mac, what are you doing for the rest of the day? You're going out somewhere?
I think it's going to be hot, so probably not. Probably going to wait till tonight. I am going to go to the gym. Have to. My doctor's really been on me about that, so I'm going to go, and then after that, wait for the sun to come down and, probably go somewhere, check on the kid, the dad stuff. The dad stuff.
Yeah, you got it. Well, you have the rest of enjoy your rest of your Saturday and also Sunday. I have a few interviews going on today, but other than that, I want to take it easy, maybe watch some TV or something. Oh, last Saturday, I did go through all of the Star Wars because you said you were going to go through it, and I was like, that's a good idea.
I think I started from Rogue One all the way down to the last 3 Star Wars, which I did not enjoy. I think they were horrible, unfortunately. What's that? The Rise of Skywalker, and they might need to redo those. But I watched them anyway because I am a fan. So
yeah. I watched them all. Just I just play them and do stuff and just watch them through. So yeah. So everybody have a great day. It's been wonderful, and enjoy your weekend. And we'll see you next week.
We'll see you guys.